online who'll probably watch.
Yeah, I don't even know how to do that. Hold on 1 second. So, Zero, you're following me, so I don't know if you can see it from there or if I can. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how to use it. Hold on 1 second.
Am I following you in Twitch already?
Yeah. I followed you and you followed me back.
Okay.
It was adorable. I gotta say, it was one of those lovely moments where I was like, "Oh my god, he likes me.
No.
He really, really likes me."
I'm gonna have to log in and do it now.
Right, perfect. So I still can't figure out where to stream this. Or I'm streaming it, but I don't know how to share it with anyone.
What you streaming?
It's just your channel name at that point.
Yeah.
Say that again.
What's the channel name?
Zero Sum Studio, I think.
You should be able to just link your channel room. I see you. Yeah, you got Roll20 up right now.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be your twitch.tv/ZeroSumStudios.
Oh, is it going to be that simple? Okay. This is literally my first time using Twitch, so...
We get to see you. We get to see a never-ending screen there.
Yeah.
We get to see a never-ending screen there.
So I saw on Reddit not too long ago there was someone doing like a sleeping stream or something like that, and I guess donations could play random things in the background. Well, some dude put in his donation and he put the stream that was going on in the background, and it just kept multiplying every sound that he's like, "What's going on?" And it just panicked, and you just hear it happen a multitude of times, cascading down, and it just kept getting progressively louder.
I suspect that would be like the voice of my conscience, right? So, like, every now and then I'll hear like that kind of cascading, like the feedback loop where something won't stop, and I'm like, oh, that really does sound like the voice of my conscience. All right, beautiful. Well, everyone ready to get rolling?
You may need to type in fractured. Tony.
Where? Oh, into the
exclamation point. Yep. Fractured.
All right, perfect. In fact, let me do one last thing. Excuse me. I'm going to log in as another player to Roll20. And that way I can stream that part.
I'm such a troll. I'm sorry. I'm a troll.
Wait, wait. In what way?
In your stream chat there. I'm sorry.
Oh, you troll.
I see what you mean.
You troll. All right, beautiful. This one up, and that way I won't be giving anything away on the Twitch stream. Not that there's anyone watching. All right, so just as a brief recap, right? So, excuse me. As you all remember, you saved a woman called Maddie from this farm area. Oh, hold on. Make sure I'm on the right page. All right, so you saved a lady called Maddie, where I'm pinging on the screen now. You kind of saved her from a farm and a bunch of crazy guys. You found yourself over at this mall with a bunch of other survivors. A bunch of them have kind of bailed in the last couple of days. But you've come into contact with these people in Georgetown, right? And so the deal with the folks in Georgetown, excuse me, initially they said that the mall was theirs and everything in it belonged to them. You guys managed to negotiate with the leaders to say, hey, basically it was yours and you could share it. So they were going to leave you with a month's worth of stuff if you would be willing to get the farm up and running, right? Or if you thought you could get this farm up and running again. So you guys headed over to the farm. You've started to make this, I won't call it your base of operations necessarily. Excuse me. But you have, why is that not moving? For some reason the maps don't seem to be updating. So you've kind of taken on the farmhouse, which is where you'd ended up with these guys last time, right? You'd gone over there to start putting the farm back together. And overnight, excuse me, sorry about this cough. So you'd heard a couple of you've built like a perch nest on top of the building so that you can look out. You'd heard some noises, some motorbikes. One night you'd heard some dogs or some wolves barking off into the distance. You'd woken up this morning and Franklin has turned up at your house. Right now, he's the guy that had been sent out to you by one of the Steves to be your kind of like liaison to the village. Right, so he turns up and basically says to you, hey, there was the Raiders turned up last night while we were all having dinner, and there was pandemonium. Steve has asked you to come back to the village and like talk things through and give him some counsel. He's basically pulling all the elders back together in the village, or all the leaders in the village. So we left off with you guys heading back towards the village. Does this all ring bells to you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful. All right. Well, anything I missed? Anything that you guys think the you need to remember or need to discuss amongst yourselves?
I just remember Franklin was in a panic and wasn't happy with our response and was going to go whine and cry to Daddy until I told him to stop and set him a little straight.
Yeah, you have been bitch slapping him a fair amount, right? So I feel that you've kind of been keeping him in line, and also we did test out the rules last time for apprentices, right? So I don't know if I need to beef those up, but just as a reminder, Emmy now has an apprentice, which is Ball. Excuse me. So Bull Punyon is now kind of a secondary character for Emmy. If she wants to be playing, it's one at a time. But if she wants to play as Ball and instead of as Emmy, she can do. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you guys are on your way down to back to the village, right? So how are you getting there?
I assume that given Franklin's
did we,
irrational state.
Did we walk to the farm?
You did. You have a couple of vehicles, right? So on the when you first took over the farm, there were a couple of trucks, like pickup trucks, that you were able to take advantage of, right? And gasoline is spoiling, but back at the mall there was a gas station, right? So you've got these trucks that are at least filled up for the moment, right? So you'd be able to use them for the next day or so. So you could walk, you could take. I think you guys found some bikes up at the mall, if I remember correctly, in the camping supply place. So you got a variety. You could walk, you could bike, or you could take the trucks.
Well, how many of us are going?
Battersby's not too impressed with the guys not helping us out, so he's not worried about going and helping them too much.
When you say the guy's not helping you out, who do you mean?
The guy that came up and we kept making suggestions to him about helping us defend up north, and he kept saying, it's not in my pay grade, but I don't fancy your chances.
Oh, that guy.
And that was pretty much his strict answer to everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy. Okay. So yeah, well, so going back to the point, I mean, you're not impressed with him, but who's heading back?
I figure
for sure.
if we got danger, we know groups are coming. I think we should all stick together at this point. I don't think there should be splitting up unless there's a good reason to.
Sure. So we're leaving the farm unguarded?
Unless there's something here to guard. Oh, there is the animals, right?
Well, we also have the Robertson family here too. I mean, I'm sure if Battersby came, he could at least give simple instructions.
Okay.
But if Battersby wants to say, actually, Matt, that would be perfect if you really just want to hang about in case you get a call anyways.
He's not going to leave the group, but he's not
I see what you mean.
about. Yeah.
Well, we want to see about them tire spikes at some point, right?
Say again?
We want to see about them tire spikes.
That I can't remember if Battersby was here for that because he had to quit and go to work last time,
wasn't
right?
there.
So we were talking about it's actually in Slack in the out of channel or the out of character channel. It was we were talking about, or they were talking about how they could upset the Raiders or kind of mess with the Raiders.
Right.
And tire
Yeah,
spikes is an
so
obvious way.
yeah. Luther mentioned, because he used to be a cop and all, that maybe we could get some tire spikes to help, throw them across the road whenever they come rolling through, since they have vehicles.
Okay, which works until there's more of them than there is of us, yeah, and then we make them stationary outside our.
Well, I mean, at the very least, I mean, you can set them up and slow them down and make a pinch point.
Make an ambush.
Yep.
There you
I'm
go,
happy with
ambush,
it.
kill box.
Yeehaw.
So the guts of this, though, is the villages and the townships under attack.
Yeah. Georgetown is under attack, right? And you knew about this the first time you spoke to them. They told you that there'd been problems with raiders, right? So a bunch of guys turned up on motorbikes, demanded a bunch of supplies, and rode off, right? And so initially the town had been a little bit, this feels, they'd kind of talked themselves into believing that these guys weren't going to come back again. But of course they came back, right? So the night before we start up again now, they had come back. They'd driven into town and said they'd be back in. From what you can pick up from Franklin, they'd threatened to come back, and they want the town to start giving up supplies on a regular basis.
Oh, I thought they were coming just to raid the whole place.
So
Either way,
Franklin's not entirely clear, right? He's kind of like a little bit like jibber jabby, right, and backwards and forwards.
Gotcha.
So it's uncertain exactly what's going on, or at least he keeps talking a big game, but then he's not entirely sure exactly, or he seems to be a little bit uncertain as to what he's saying.
all right. Well, I'm gonna go, and if you guys are gonna go, I'm gonna tell Ball to stay here. But if you guys aren't gonna go, I'll take Ball with me.
How are we getting there? Are we going by Jeep? Because you can let me out further down the road and I can snipe from a distance again.
Yeah, we can do that. We can take a Jeep or a pickup.
It'll also give you cover if you need it.
All right, so what are you doing? You're taking one of the trucks and heading down there. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Are we all taking extra weaponry?
Yeah, that's a good point. What are you taking with you?
Yes, breaker.
I'm trying to decide if I'm having poor connections and
Yeah,
missing half of our conversation.
My
Nobody's
internet,
talking.
my internet is screwing up. Also, if you're having issues, I don't know.
Well, it's just awkwardly quiet, and I'm not
look-
sure if it's just everyone's being quiet or if I'm actually losing part of the conversation.
I think everyone's being fairly quiet so far.
Tony and I were talking
Okay.
about what armor.
Can you hear me okay?
We're taking
Yep.
with us there.
Okay.
So sorry, Matt. Yeah, Zero. We can hear you clearly, and I think there was just some pauses, John. So or Emmy. So I'm not sure that you were. I'm not sure the issue was on your side. I think we were kind of like there were pauses in between conversation.
Okay.
So to summarize, excuse me, you're going to head back, and I think you're all taking. If you can see the screen, I think you're all going to be taking one of those trucks. Was that fair?
Yeah.
And are you all going in the same truck?
Yeah, if Battersby wants to get dropped off outside of town, yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so let me show you where you are in relation to everything else.
Do we have a spare carbine somewhere as well? I've got a sniper rifle, but I'd prefer something that fires fast.
Yeah. There's for sure there's an automatic rifle, right? There were a few AR-15s you guys found in the basement. So let me put one of those in your inventory. So to that note, what else? I don't know if you can see my screen on the Twitch screen, but I'm trying to figure out what a group inventory. I was talking about this with Matt would look like. So these are the pickup trucks that we're talking about at the moment that you guys have taken. But over time, And again, I'll figure out the right way to do this, but I'll put all of the excess equipment in this character sheet or this inventory sheet so you guys know what you have. Excuse me. But for now, there's been a fair amount of weaponry that you guys have found in this house and in other places. What would you guys want to take with you if you had the opportunity to take to the town?
I'm okay with the carbine, my sniper rifle, and light pistol. Sorry. I think we're all slightly delayed, which means we talk over each other.
Possibly.
That might be what it is.
So, Battersby, I just gave you a carbine and 60 rounds, which you took out of the basement here in the torture chamber. Excuse me. Does anybody else want any? And again, we found a variety of stuff. There are a couple of hunting rifles, a couple of shotguns. Excuse me, a couple of carbines. Is there anything you guys would particularly want as you head down to Georgetown?
I have a light pistol, but apparently it looks like I have no ammo for it.
All right, so let me rectify that.
If there's not enough carbines to go around, I'd prefer you going down there with a carbine rather than me having it as backup.
I can take one.
How many carbines are spare, Tony?
Oh, sorry. So I just gave you, Amy, I just gave you some ammo. Did you want a carbine as well? There were 2 carbines available.
So if you're both going down,
I just figured out what my issue was. Discord on my phone, whenever the screen goes blank, likes to hush up Discord, and I forgot about that.
Oh, is that what's causing it?
Yeah, I'm gonna fix that right now. So go continue.
Okay, no worries. So, so we'll come back to you in a second when you fix that. So, Zero and Trojan, is there anything you guys would particularly want to take down with you?
I could always use more ammo. Also, it looks like I've only got 4 rounds.
So need more ammo.
Trojan, what kind of ammo do you need?
Like comment on like what it says under ammo.
Well, sorry, let me ask you another way. What kind of weapon are you using?
Oh, it's I need shotgun and heavy pistol.
Shotgun, heavy pistol. All right, hold on 1 second. All right, beautiful. Zero, what ammo do you need, or what weapons or ammos does Luther need?
I need some shotgun slugs and some heavy pistol ammo.
You got it.
I imagine that's a 45 long barrel, ivory handle.
There you go. You've all got some. Hey, Emmy, you back?
Yeah, we're good. I'll take the carbine, I guess.
A carbine. All right. Hey, did that show? I'm not sure if that showed up. Did that show up?
I saw the pistol ammo. Go back. Oops. Yeah, we're good. 60 ammo. Yep, we're good.
Yep. All right. Beautiful. And let me pull Ball. What is Ball's primary weapon? Do you remember?
I think he had an axe and a hatchet, I believe.
Okay. So there's probably not much upgrading him. Let me just take a quick look at him.
I mean, unless you want to slip him a light pistol.
He actually has a sawed-off shotgun.
Okay, that's fine.
So let me give him a little bit more ammo as well. Hey, but whatever you've got now has pretty much cleaned out the house, right? So there might be some more ammo here and there, but excuse me, you'd probably have to start rooting through some other boxes in different places. There doesn't seem to be anything else available to you. So, all right. Anything else you want to do before you head down?
Oh, were there some shotgun shells for me?
I think I gave you some. Check your invent. Did I not give you any?
It says 0 there.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
It may not update on the fly. You might have to close it and come back. I know I had to do that with pistol ammo.
Okay. You're putting it under equipment, not under weapons. Sorry there. Yeah, I see it now. Sorry.
No, and it goes under equipment if you've been given the wrong ammo.
Ooh.
Oh, I have a sawed-off shotgun. That should work, correct?
It's a different type of ammo. Hold on. So let me do this.
I need them sawed-off shotgun shells.
So you should drop the stuff out of your equipment so it doesn't add to your encumbrance, but that should be now in the weapons under your shotgun, hopefully.
Yep. Thank you.
Sorry, Tony. It just goes by what the name of the gun is.
No worries, mate. No worries. Excuse me. All right, beautiful. So you guys, so it's maybe 8:45, 9 o'clock in the morning, right? Oh, and by the way, just like a passage of time, I was tracking it, and it's been 12 days since you found Maddie in that house, right? So just to kind of put some context around how long you guys have all kind of been palling around and known each other, it's just short of 2 weeks now that you've been in this vicinity.
And it's been about 3 days since Georgetown, our first meeting?
Yeah, I think 4 days actually, or like all told. Like with the back, because you stayed down there and with the backwards and forwards, I think it was 4 days all told.
Okay.
Let me just do one other thing. So, if you can see this on the map, so there's two little. I just created another one. There's two little circles. One, the one, the most further east one or furthest east. That's where the farmhouse is, right? The one that's furthest up in the northwest. That's where the mall is, and then Georgetown should be fairly obvious. So, excuse me, to get there is about a 40-minute drive or a 30-minute drive because you have to go off road for a fair part, right? So do you have to get down here and then come on into the town? So as you're kind of driving along, Franklin pretty much insists he gets out and he rides his bike ahead of you guys, right? Because he's very concerned that people are kind of anxious, right? And last night with these raiders turning up and just causing mayhem, and if you may or may not remember, they turned up, they opened fire. There was lots of shotguns and blasts and machine guns in the air to scare the shit out of the people, right? So everyone's a little bit tense at the moment. So as you get about a half mile away, excuse me, Franklin says that he thinks it's best if he gets on and just rides his bike in front to make sure that everyone knows it's you guys. So hops out on his bike, rides ahead of the car, like a couple of 100 feet ahead, and he's ringing his bell like he's borderline backward or victim of a cruel experiment, right? But he's ringing this bell like a little kid to make sure everybody knows it's him that's coming. So you guys are kind of approaching the town from this direction. Oh, hold on 1 second. Sorry, let me switch maps.
We didn't forget his bicycle card.
In between the spokes of the wheels to make himself sound a little bit more scary, right?
Yeah.
Exactly right. So he does have that, right? So he sounds very menacing. So as he's kind of like driving down the road here, right? I mean, or like pulling towards the town. You guys are pulling along behind him. So can everyone make a perception check?
So wait, he's on the right side? Oh, yeah, because we came from the farm.
Yeah, correct. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Battersby and Trojan? Nice. So as you're coming in, excuse me, it feels a little bit different how it did like when you came down just a couple of days ago, right? At that point it felt like there was a fair amount of activity in the town. Now it feels like you really aren't seeing anybody, right? But what you did notice, for those of you that got a success there, this is an apartment building. So if you can see where I'm pinging at the moment, this is an apartment building. And you all kind of, as you're approaching it, a few of you see a glint of sunlight off the top of, what looks like metal up there. And you realize, Luther, particularly being in law enforcement, it makes sense to you. And Battersby, I mean, it's kind of same kind of. Oh, by the way, Battersby, did you want to hop out anywhere before you guys get to the town, or are you going to ride with them?
No, I'm hopping out beforehand, so I'll be up here somewhere, I assume, if we're...
Are you telling Franklin not to tell anyone, or have you said anything to Franklin about it? Because there's a good chance he's gonna, he'll realize you were in the truck to start with and you're not there now. So he may ask some questions, or he may tell the other people. So
he's just like alongside the road. We're just stopping and he's jumping out and we don't know why.
No, he's
no, he
Or are
does
you
this
talking
every
Battersby?
time. Don't forget. So yeah, I think you'll know why. You can explain if
Okay.
if you want to. And he'll grump around and try and find a high spot.
all right, beautiful. So put yourself where you think you're gonna want to be. All right. And we'll keep coming back to you as we kind of go through this. So, as you know, again, little bellboy here is kind of getting up, and there's a lot of noise. And like I say, you can see kind of a glint of sunlight off metal on the top of this building, which would indicate someone's up there with a rifle. And then, as you kind of, this red mark, this isn't a fence or anything, right? But this is kind of like really kind of the limit of where the town is, right? And unlike when you were here previously, there are people kind of walking up and down along this red line, right? Now, not a lot of them, right? Because there's not that many people in this town that would count as kind of soldiers or people that have kind of active combat experience. But there's a few people that come out and they kind of like come out and start talking to Franklin. So you've pulled up in the car around here. Franklin's talking to these, a couple of guys. They keep pointing back at the car and looking at you. Are you guys are you getting out and talking to them, or are you going to let Franklin do the talking?
Probably just let Franklin wave us on in.
So Franklin kind of walks back to you with his bike, right, and throws his bike back into the pickup and snuggles in next to Luther in the car or whoever's in the back seat, and he says, everyone's a little bit on edge at the moment. So he says, his dad will meet you, just like we're going to head over to the church, which is where you were before. Like this seems to be like the central kind of area over here. So his dad's agreed to meet you over there, you'll have no trouble in the town. Like now that you're with Franklin, or now that you're there and they know you're there. And you see a couple of the guys he was talking to radioing back. They have walkie-talkies, and they're obviously talking to someone. And it would appear like they're checking in and saying that they've just seen you and Franklin.
Okay.
Anything you guys want to do before you head on in?
Do we have
Not
access
really.
to that walkie-talkie channel, or is that their own little channel?
Yeah, they've set it to, like a random channel, right? So you'd have to ask them which channel to set your walkie-talkie to, rather, or just go kind of like surfing on the channels and hope that you catch them. But you don't know what they're saying.
What do you guys think?
Well, before you change over, can you tell me what channel it is that you're changing to? It says Battersby over there.
Well, with Franklin in the truck, I'm not really saying anything.
Okay, I didn't realize he's still in the truck, so.
Yeah, he just hopped back in. He threw his bike into the back, but he has no intention of cycling across town when you can drive in there.
Although, however, while he's out there, mention that he's while he's out there waiting to wave us in, I'm gonna see if Battersby's got a radio, and if he does, he could be scanning the channels while he's waiting for us to see if he can pick up what channel they're on.
Yeah, I can do that, he says grumpily. Do you know where you're going in the compound yet?
Not a clue, but I suspect since we had dinner in the middle of it, that's probably where we're going.
Okay, I'll try and get some sort of high point across the way somewhere.
Hey Matt, do you have a walkie-talkie in your
sorry, I assumed we all had them. Let me have a look. If not, he'll be doing his quiet Rambo in the corner. No, he doesn't have he's got compass. So he doesn't have walkie-talkie.
Can you guys check your inventory? Does anyone in the car have a walkie-talkie?
I do.
So, Matt, it's up to you. You can use the Distemper dice, right? So you can give one of those up to bend reality. So if you want to be able to talk to them and have a walkie-talkie in your backpack, you can.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And we've been communicating at the farm with the walkie-talkies. I imagine it's a good chance we would all probably have one at this point.
Yeah, especially if you're planning on getting out of the truck early.
You know, so in the inventory rules, it so that, you know, one of the statements is, if you don't have it written down, you don't have it, right?
Fair
So if you guys didn't say you had them, you don't have them. However, it kind of feels like it would be one of those things that you would have that discussion about before you left, right? If you're going down for this, it wouldn't. I don't know if you'd have that level of oversight about something so obvious, right? So I don't know if actually it's worth like a distemper dice, and we just need to know that we need to do better planning going forward. Does that make sense?
I'll use a distemper dice.
We'll do a flashback.
Yeah, like Forged in the Dark. I like that. We'll do one of those things where we go back. Yeah, beautiful. It sounds like Matt's going to play. Yeah, fuck off, Easy GM. I saw that. And he's spot on, right? Use a distemper dice, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you hit the wild dice in the corner, Tony, you can just do -1 for me because we can't take them away.
Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second. Did that work? Matt? Farmer Battersby, you there?
It didn't work. Let me have a look. Let me try it. Select me.
Oh, hold on. I'm an idiot. I did it as the player and not as the GM. Hold on.
Oh.
Yeah. What a silly goose.
It didn't work for me either, so it doesn't work. Yeah, I tell you what it is because we've renamed them Distemper dice. So I need to faff in your game because they're all called Distemper dice now rather than outcome dice, and that's only just changed. So your buttons are probably reading wrong.
You know what you probably could do? Do you want a quick fix? Why don't you just use one for a +3 mod and just roll something?
Oh, it's okay. I can just cheat and go into the sheet. I'll just change it.
Wow.
Go.
AFK, just 1 second.
No problem.
Let's shoot him. No, I mean.
I sleight of hand his cowboy hat to my own head.
All right, so while Matt's doing that, you guys are driving through town. Franklin comments about the guy up on the roof, right? A couple of you have spotted him, but as you're driving by, he kind of makes comment that that's how nervous people are feeling, right? You know, they for the first time, since, you know, the pandemic, or since this has all blown up, they're actually stationing guards, right? Because they feel so nervous. But Franklin's kind of like almost teasing the guy that's up there, right, to the rest of you, and saying like he's fucking useless. Like he was a Marine like 35 years ago. Like he hasn't even held a gun for the last like 2 decades or something. That's the best that they've got. So as you guys are driving into town, Franklin's just kind of giving you like a little guided tour. Excuse me, because you hadn't come from this direction. He points out that a lot of this has now been turned, or this is now essentially farmland, right? So they've dug up a bunch of these gardens, they chopped down a bunch of these trees so that they could use as much of this central area where they could all work on it at the same time, right? So he's kind of like giving you this little guided tour as you get up towards the church.
God, I hate this guy every time he opens his mouth. I hate him more.
Yeah, he is a jerk. At least he's not ringing his bell at the moment.
Yeah, thanks for putting your bike in the back of the truck.
Yeah. So wait, thanks for putting what in the truck?
His bike in the truck, in the back of the truck, so he can't reach it.
He never goes anywhere without that thing. But he can take the bell off, so you might want to be careful because he's pretty good at detecting that bell and just using it like a dick. All right. Anyway, so let me move you guys over. So this area, this is where you were last time, right? And this church area is a pretty busy area, right? It's become kind of the de facto like center of town, right? So Battersby, I'm going to leave you out of there. So as you get closer, me find the notes, Steve. There you go. So you can see Steve, and you can see like there's just a bunch of townspeople, and they're all kind of like gathered around this church. So he seems very relieved to see you. So the truck pulls up. You guys see Steve standing there with maybe 10 or 12 other people that are all standing around on the steps of the church talking. What do you guys do?
I assume this is Big Steve.
Yeah.
I guess get out of the truck and I'm walking over.
Yeah. Approach the conversation.
So he seems flustered, but he's kind of relieved to see you, right? So as you guys come over towards him, he says, he thanks you for coming, and says like the timing's really good, right? And he nods at Franklin, by the way, but he says the timing's really good. He's just pulled the leadership of the town together in the church, and as you guys are considered a satellite of the town. He just wanted to get as many voices as possible so you guys could figure out what to do. So he's glad you're here, and he invites you into the church.
Okay.
So inside of the church, there's like 24 people or so, and it's weird, right? The church has been repurposed, so it's more of like a community village or a community building, but there's still like stained glass windows, right? So it's nice and early in the morning. There's bright light coming through, and it feels weird, right? Because all of these people are standing around, and previously this had been like full of prayer and song and whatever else. Now there's like a lot of angry and scared voices that you hear kind of like from the people in the leadership, right? And they're going backwards and forwards as they discuss what should be done, right? And just again, as a summary, the Raiders came in the night before. What they've said, like whatever Franklin said to you earlier, Steve says, yeah, we don't really know what they're planning. They said they were coming back in 3 nights, which makes it, 2 nights hence from now. They're coming back. Good job, Matt. Move to where you want to be. They're coming back a couple of nights from now, and the town's trying to figure out what to do, right? So that's kind of the basis of the discussion. But there's like some factions inside of the group that's discussing it, right? So Steve believes there needs to be a coordinated response. He doesn't know exactly what to do, but he doesn't believe that giving them more supplies is going to get rid of them, right? They've already done that once where they came into town. Like this was like a week or so before. The town gave them a bunch of supplies. They hoped they'd never see them again, and now they've come back and they're like, "Hey, we want more." So Steve kind of feels that this is just going to be never ending. So the short version of this is there's kind of 3 factions, right? So there's some people that just they want to pay off the Raiders and just try and have a quiet life. There's another group that knows that if they do that, the Raiders are just going to keep coming back and taking stuff, and they'll never have a quiet life again. And then there's a very small contingent that just wants to leave, right? They want everyone to just leave. They don't want to fight. They're like, it's the scared old women contingent, right? Or the kind of the lame man or the young child. They're not looking to have a fight, especially with these crazy guys that keep turning up late at night on motorbikes and like riding around and scaring everyone. So a small contingent just wants to abandon the town and move away. So where do you guys want to take the discussion? What's your contribution going to be to this?
We have 2 choices, right? We can fight or run. Which is it?
Oh, no. You got 3. You can sit here and be a slave to the bandits because they're not going to deal.
To us out and
Or you
keep
can
getting
fight.
supplies. That's a no-go.
So while you guys are discussing this, like there's a lady who's part of the group that she's really having a hard time with this, right? And she kind of goes over the fact, like so. Just as a to fill in a little bit more story, I don't know if I remember if I told you or not. After they'd been in town and they said they were going to give them a couple of days, later that night, and you heard this from where you were at your pitch, but later that night, they turned up and they threw a Molotov cocktail into the McDonald's, which was the first place you guys went into the town and stayed the night. That thing burned to the ground, right? So she says there's no way that we can trust these Raiders, right? They already told us they'd give us 3 nights, and then they come back and just burn one of the buildings down.
So there was no reason why they did that, and they know it was the Raiders. That was just like a random act without provocation.
As far as they're aware, right? And someone else in the group like looks at you, Luther, and says, like, do you think we know anything more than we've already told you? Like these guys turned up late at night. The McDonald's burned down. Seems like too big a coincidence to me to think there's 2 groups out there that aren't working together.
These guys sound like some rabid squirrels. You know what you got to do with rabid squirrels, right? Put them down.
Grab them by the nuts.
So there's like a little like rumble or groan through the room, right? Because there are a bunch of people that completely agree with you, Luther, right? And Tall Steve seems to be one of them, right? He seems to feel that you're right. We got to fight for our town if we want to keep this. Whereas like the other murmuring in the room is all the people that are like, oh fuck this, we don't have to fight for anything like this. Like we should just give them some stuff and just like we'll give them like so what, says someone, right? Like we can still survive. Like if the crops work out, we'll have enough food to give them half and still feed the people in town. We can make this work.
No, you can't. Don't you? Have you learned nothing from history, even in the civilized world? Once you start giving in, they're just going to keep pushing and pushing. This is never going to stop until you use out your usefulness of having supplies. And then they're just going to burn it to the ground and move on to the next town they find. So let's just get rid of that option right off the bat. If you don't like it, you can join the group that wants to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, so Steve, like Tall Steve at that point says, like, he completely agrees, right? That he's he agrees with Emmy, or unless that's Bull that's saying it, right? But if you give these guys stuff, they're never going to be satisfied, and they're always going to be coming back and trying to get more. So he's in complete agreement with you.
So I think first of all, what we want to do here is we want to figure out who wants to stay and fight and who wants to get out of here, so we can at least. If you're not going to stay and fight, then you're not going to be a part of this conversation. You might as well pack up what you can carry and leave.
So, sorry, someone else going to say something there.
Well, do we even want to have that option? Because if we say who wants to leave can leave, and there's not enough to fight, then it's almost all leave or all fight, perhaps.
Well, I mean, you cleaned out that upper mall in a day. It's possible if you had enough manpower and willingness, you could try to move. But what is this, like a 5 square block town? I don't know how well that's going to work if you wanted to. So your only real option is to sit and fight.
You heard the man. We got to fight.
So there are 27, including the 2 Steves that are there. There are 27 people in total, right? So it feels like the group
in the room.
Say that again.
Did you say in the room?
Yeah, in the church, right? So this is what counts as like leadership, right? And the reality is the town's, it's just like a loose. It's like whoever survived after the pandemic, right? So these leaders, it's just the head of households, right? I mean, none of these people are very strategic. It's just like if there's more than one person survived, you got a seat at the table, basically, right? So 27 of them. You guys really count as one vote, right? Like just one voice, right? Unless you want to split apart and go like start siding. But like if it gets put to the vote, your group will count as one single vote, right? Whoever cast that vote. And again, unless you want to go to another side. That makes sense?
How many other votes are there?
27.
Ooh.
So you'll be the 28th vote. So does someone, because Steve's kind of pushing to get to a vote, right? And he's siding very much with you, right? I mean, he's an obvious coward, but he knows that the Raiders are going to keep coming back unless you make a stand, right? He's really looking, he seems to be taking some guidance from you or some kind of almost like some courage from you guys, right? So does one of you want to make a speech, an inspiration roll is what it would be? And you could do this as a group check if you wanted to. But does someone want to make try and win people over with an inspirational talk?
I could probably try if no one else wants to. At least got the influence. We'll see about inspiration. I'll just do an influence because I have no inspiration.
Does anyone have inspiration?
No, I don't. But can I tell a story about how how I lost my farm? And
you are on the radio.
Yeah, exactly. Do we get still a +1 if you help regardless for group chat?
You absolutely would, but it would be very hard to put you on speakerphone with these people that are having this very spirited backwards and forwards. So we might want
But
to.
isn't he, if I'm challenging it, isn't he giving a speech? So I tell him the key points of me losing the farm and how we just couldn't get rid of the guys,
Well-
and they've just run the farm into the ground. They couldn't even run it, but they still took it anyway.
So
I mean, there's 27 people, so you could. I mean, we can all tell everyone to shut the hell up, and you can just speak.
I'd be if one of you wants to hop on a table and hold that walkie-talkie up in the air. So one thing I would say, we because we mixed and matched groups, right? And because you guys are using your own characters and not pre-gens, if we were using the pre-gens, then everyone would be interrelated, and a bunch of you would have been on the farm with Battersby, right? So I guess the question, I know that we met Luther on the road the other day, but I guess we haven't really discussed it. But Emmy and Trojan, I mean, were your characters on the farm? Do they already know the story? Could they tell that on behalf of Battersby?
I
I assume. I mean, I've been there trying to get integrated with everybody.
Well, I think the however it plays out, whether it's Battersby on the walkie-talkie, which may raise some questions as to why he's not there in the room, but he suddenly has a story, right? But I do think that story is worth a +1 CMOD for for this group check or for this inspiration check, just because it relates so closely to what's going on here. What do you guys want to do?
Was there an
I would
inspiration column,
say
or
I don't have one. I just got influence.
Hey, Trojan,
So-
are you there?
Yeah.
Don't you have inspiration?
2 inspiration.
oh,
If I remember correctly, you were like a celebrity or a Jesus Christ impersonator or something. If I look at
Yeah.
your token, right?
friends, Romans, countrymen.
Lend me your Trojan.
Squirrels.
Like that.
All right, so Trojan, let's have you make the check and make it a group check. So if you all double click on your token, and then there's a set of hexagons on the right hand side under the combat actions, you've got a group check button. So if you group check, and then anybody else that's helping,
For inspiration.
yeah.
You can
So am I adding to this
on
or not?
the character sheet also, correct?
Say that again.
You can just tick it on the character sheet also, correct?
Oh yeah, if you can see my screen, I don't know if you guys looking at Twitch, but yeah, absolutely. You can just come down here and just click. You can click it there, perfect. Excuse me, and then you just click that, and anybody else that's done a group check or selected that button could contribute. And then when that comes up, and it asks you to enter the C mod, add a +1 there, or add 1 to that.
So yeah, Luther gets up there to help support Trojan and crosses his arms and looks all tough before his speech.
Check. Yeah, when I click inspiration, it's trying to tell me choose a target.
Just use yourself.
Or Steve, who's standing next to you.
Yeah, Steve, probably.
Is that the one on the lower left?
Yeah, this guy.
And then Luther roll it in the chat.
I'm not sure why it's
Hit the
default to
button.
Luther, except he's looking all tough. Oh, look at that.
Hey.
There we go.
Yeah. Oh, look at that score from Trojan. Look at that +5 there. Yeah. So, so you managed to win a bunch of the people over, right? Presuming that you're all talking the same, or you're telling the same story and not working against each other. You tell the story about how you spent the last almost year trying to wait the pandemic out on Battersby's farm. And then a couple of like 2 weeks ago, just a little bit less than 2 weeks ago, some guys turned up on motorbikes. Maybe it's even these same guys, right? But some guys turned up on motorbikes, kicked you out, and you've been, you spent time wandering, and then you're trying to live in a mall. But like basically, they took everything, right? And they just did it because they're human fucking locusts, right? So you tell that story, and it seems to win over a bunch of people in the audience, right? So where it was fairly evenly split previously, it's now 2/3 of the room have like agreed with you guys that this just like if you try and pay them off, they'll keep coming, and that you guys, none of these people want to leave their homes. They've already survived the pandemic and tried to rebuild. They don't want to go somewhere new and have to like get rid of dead bodies that are in houses and start all over again. So it seems to be the consensus, but like no one's really got any idea what to do, right? And Steve says to you that the only two people here that have got any kind of experience at all. There was someone that was a cop, but he's retired. And then there's the Marine that Franklin pointed out that was on top of the building. And again, that guy was a Marine like 30 years ago. So he's getting close to retirement. So there really is no one here that can lead them, right? Like no one here has any combat experience. No one really knows what to do. So he's kind of looking to all of you guys to try and help him figure out, well, like, you managed to rally all these guys. What's your plan?
Well, if they're the best you got, they better get their asses in here.
What kind of numbers are we talking?
So the count is a little bit confused, right? But they were either 10 or 11 bikes. They're not really sure, right? And previously, 6 or 7 bikes had turned up, but they'd also had some kind of like little van, right, that they'd turned up and loaded supplies into. So it could be as little as 10 people, maybe it's as many as 12 people, but that's what they think they've counted.
All hail, son. We got this.
So like Tall Steve, it's seems to be taking a lot of comfort from you here, Luther, right? So the fact you seem to think it's not that big a deal, he seems visibly relieved, right? Because people have been looking to him to figure shit out, and he just hasn't had any idea what to do at all. So what so Steve kind of wanders over and says, well, so what's the plan? What are we gonna do?
Well, I had my road spikes plan, or perhaps ambush idea, if we want to explore it.
So you hadn't talked about that with Steve, so he's kind of interested, and he's asking you like what would you need to do that?
Well, they all come in on a certain road, right?
Yeah, he kind of points down here, right? He says that and that's why they think that they're the guys that did the McDonald's, right? Because like every time both times they've come in, they've come through this way, right? And so, which is the natural entrance to the town at this point, right? This is kind of like an off-road. This is much more of just a right turn here, right? So yeah, they always seem to have come up this way and then turned down to this way. So they think they know which way they're coming from.
They're coming from the south?
Yeah.
Luther, the other night, heard the motorcycle come up past through the farmhouse.
Correct.
So that guy was going north.
Correct. So, excuse me, and that was the same night that some of the people at the mall, and again, this could just be coincidence, maybe the same rider. Oh, you're not looking at my screen. Hold on. I do wish Roll20 would just read my mind as to when I think I've changed screens for all of you, right? So when you were at the mall, you heard like a bike kind of heading north this way, right? And then the people at the mall, like all these people with the red X's on the left, all of these guys left because if you may or may not remember, a biker rode into town. They think they heard him on a walkie-talkie. He fired a shot into the air and drove off. This was like at 2:00 in the morning, right? So
Right.
that was very likely the same biker that you heard. But yeah, these guys think that they've always come from the south. But hey, maybe they're just hiding their tracks like sand people.
Any thought towards maybe sending some people south, see if they want to scout the area for signs of them?
Who was that to?
I guess asking Luther if that would be something worth doing, and if Steve would have a couple people to spare to go out. If that was asking Luther if it'd be worthwhile, and then looking at Steve if he had a couple people to spare to do that.
You said there was 2 days until they're expected to come back? Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. So, yeah, they said last night they'd be back in 3 nights, right? So last night was 1, you got 3 nights. So tonight's the first night, and then you'll have a second, then the third night is when they're going to be back.
I think we should definitely have somebody watching from that direction. I don't know if we want to go exploring, looking for them. I think we should wait for them to come to us, and hopefully they're feeling pretty confident, because then we can catch them by surprise.
If you tell Battersby any of this, he'll circle round to the south.
Well, I assume now that we have their attention and we're kind of game planning, I feel like I got the mic, just even if no one's paying attention, if you can hear any of it. We've got the walkie pressed.
Okay, in which case I will slowly creep around down to the south.
So Battersby, are you planning on spending, because this is a couple of nights, right? And again, like, I mean, we're at like 10:30 in the morning or something, right? Or maybe 11 o'clock, right? So there's no hurry at the moment, but like, if they're a couple of nights away, what is are you planning to stay hidden this whole time? Or are you going to come in from the cold for a bit?
Assuming we now know it's 2 nights, then there's and we're I'll ask for confirmation. Are we sure of this? If we are, then I will come in.
Yeah. So you know, there's been everyone else that was in the room can confirm it, right? Like everyone was saying the same thing. They turned up last night. They said they'd be back in 3 nights, which means that you've got like 2 nights after tonight before they talk. You got 2 nights to do whatever you're planning, and then they'll turn up again on the 3rd night. So that's all been confirmed. As much as you can trust anything anyone's saying, that's been confirmed.
Do we want to take a road trip to one of the cop shops?
So
Luther, in your knowledge, what kind of explosives do cops keep on hand?
Not too many, usually anti-crowd.
I had an idea. What if we go the sneaky route and say, welcome them in and give them some good supplies, but also some fake supplies, and potentially lull them into a sense of security that they're getting what they want?
You want to
And
put
then ambush them on the way
C4 in their
out.
supplies? I like your
I
thinking.
mean,
I'm all in about C4 in their supplies. Yeah, you got some C4? Let's rig that.
if we can find some, that'd be a fantastic idea.
All
Or
right.
at least if we can get them into a sense of security that they're going to be no trouble and we keep eyes on them, we could assault them on the way out.
We'll show them the boom.
Is Battersby back yet?
Sorry, Matt, say that again.
Is Battersby back yet?
If you want it to be.
Are you?
Yeah, okay. That will be then. In which case, Battersby will be groaning that he's been away for a few hours and now everyone's John Rambo with C4 coming out their ass ready to blow things up.
Well, they haven't actually found
We
it
do
yet.
need a solid plan.
That's what I mean.
We need a serious plan.
Sorry, I watched too much NCIS in my time.
That could be a good thing.
If we did invite
even
them
if we
in
don't-
and then tire spike the roads out again, that keeps them in.
Yeah, we can set up the ambush on the way out where they think that they're getting away. Gives us a chance to see all of them, or at least as many of them as are going to reveal themselves.
And then we can,
And
if we go
yeah.
here, something, we could crossfire them from over here, here. Maybe over here.
As long as we get them in a bottleneck. Ambush style.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can do that. I mean, it's going to take some time to load up that van with supplies, so even if they decide to go, well, no, they're arrogant sons of bitches, it sounds like, so I feel like they're going to show their hand very easily.
And they don't know anything about us guys. They just know about Steve and Co.
The town, yeah.
So at one point, Steve does say to you that he's a little bit leery of using radios because a couple of things that they said, he started to wonder whether or not they actually were monitoring the radio bands, right, or were kind of aware of what's going on. Because a few things they said made him think that they knew about them more, or the bad guys felt that there were more people than just here, right? So Steve's not quite sure, but again, like he's a little bit leery of using radios for that reason.
Oh, William. The one, yeah. I see why his son was always so concerned about using the radio too.
Yeah.
That sounds valid.
We can use that to our advantage though, yeah?
Yeah, we could.
So why don't we have why don't we plan on telling them that we're stocking up the apartment block over here?
Yeah, I was literally just looking at it as you said it. And that way they'll really want to come in and go out right where we want them to.
Yeah, exactly.
Steve, how often do you let new people come in besides for us?
So he says that every couple of weeks a couple of new people turn up, right, and that they've made some errors in judgment, right? They've let some people stay. He kind of alludes to a story about there were two brothers that came through. This wasn't all that long ago, and the couple of people decided to be nice to them. These guys were gone the next morning, and they'd taken one of they'd kidnapped one of the people from the town, and she's never been heard of again, right? So they since that, which was a few months back, like they're not very open to strangers joining them at all because as Steve says, like he has enough trouble trying to protect the people that are here and should be here. He can't worry about other people. Why do you ask?
Well, because like you said with the radio chatter, I'm wondering if you might have an inside man, but if it hasn't been that long, then the next option would be some people on your scouting parties that may have run into them and may have started working with this bandit group.
Steve seems genuinely shocked when you say that, right? He's kind of like, I mean, it hasn't even crossed his mind, right? And he's doing that almost kind of like furious blinking where he's like, you really think that there might be like people working with these guys? Because he really hasn't considered it.
I've seen enough politics. I've done enough things on my own. It's always a possibility.
So Steve was a lawyer before all of this, right? But he's feeling a little bit more and more. He feels outclassed by what's going on. So he hasn't even given any thought to, potential moles or people on the inside or any of that.
Okay.
All right. So tell me again what your plan is.
It sounds like we're going to keep the radio chatter very pointed, assuming that they can hear it. And I think we're going to start pushing a chunk of supplies, or at least make it seem like they're going to the apartments so that we can force them to keep coming back in here, like you mentioned them coming before, so that we can set up an ambush point somewhere in there.
Okay.
And we'll intersperse it with some normal radio chatter so it doesn't sound all completely set up.
Like your normal guard checks and regular nonsense batter.
And about having been worried that we might lose everything all in one go, so let's put it out the way in the most in a place where they'll never think of looking.
Wink, wink.
So So how are you going to spend the? And again, like Steve will direct as many people towards you these activities as you want, right? And again, to put this into context, excuse me, there's roughly 250 people, or 267 exactly, right? People inside of Georgetown, right? So, 50, 60 of those are just useless, right? I mean, they, old people or kids that are like too young to, be of any help. So there's roughly 200 adults, right? Now, this is a mixture of people that survived the pandemic, but, that just to kind of put it into context for you. So Steve will direct as many people towards your activities because you guys are showing more initiative and leadership than anybody else at the moment.
Well, I'll leave the tactics up to Farmer and Luther, but if it's really a question of how many real supplies do you actually want to put at risk, because I'm sure the ambush is probably. I mean, granted, lost supplies are better than lost lives, but lose enough supplies and you're going to start losing lives.
If we're serious about it, we could always have some of the supplies be decoys. The first box shows cans, and the boxes below are, cardboard.
Box of rocks.
Yeah, the rocks.
Or top layers like they do in the movies. Top layer of cash and the rest is just nothing.
Yeah, it's paper.
So Steve points out that somewhere over here, this auto collision and repair, right? There's a little business park over here, right? And Steve points out that there's a moving and office supplies building over there, like a warehouse, right? So he's like, hey, like if you're looking for empty boxes or to make this look like something, there's enough stuff over here that they could send out for people to bring back for it to be convincing.
Okay.
All right.
Otherwise, we should probably go see how you guys want to set up your ambush.
So Steve will send other people to gather the stuff, right? And again, as far as you're aware, you've got a couple of days to get all this done, right? And so Steve will send the people to grab that for you, leaving you free to kind of consider other avenues or other parts of the ambush. And this is kind of like, there might be a cool movie montage going at the moment with you training some villagers how to use their rakes as spears, kind of thing,
Can we, if we've got 2 days, how far away do we think their camp is?
Could be anywhere, right? I mean, they you can hear them, or the villagers tell you they've been able to hear them approaching, right? So they're probably far. Let me put this into context. Let me pull up a map of the region. Hold on. But they could be anywhere, Matt. Right? I mean, they. If you look at this, right? So this is where Georgetown is, right? You could make an argument that. Bollocks. Let me get back to that. Sorry, hold on. This is where you guys are at the moment. You could probably make an argument that anything outside of here, excuse me, this kind of radius, you wouldn't be able to hear any more than that, right? So, and probably less than that, actually, now that I look at it, right? So they could really be anywhere. You got no idea.
Okay, so I can't go
coming from this. Well, I mean, if it looks like the closest town was ended up being down here, so even if we want to spend like one person one day just driving around, potentially, if that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's not a great idea given
I don't think so.
Quiet and you tend to make a lot of noise. If we knew
what about
exactly
Franklin
where
and his bicycle?
Yeah, with his freaking bell.
Ring,
Take
ring,
his
ring,
bell
ring.
away, or don't.
Well, it would help if someone's no good at fighting to have some sort of walkie-talkie. We don't even know that they're coming on this one here, do we?
No.
I was going to say, if they're no good at fighting, they could be here and tell us how many cars are coming and whether any of them are staying back.
They could have also come on this road, to your point, right? I mean, they could be coming from that way. They could be coming from this way, right? I mean, like the people at Georgetown haven't really been paying great attention, right? So there's even a chance they could be coming from that way, right? So the only thing that they know for sure is that they weren't coming from the direction that you guys just headed in, right? They've always come from, but they're very vague on what they know.
Oh no, that's a good idea. Luther, you should probably see if you can get, with your experience, get some of the non-combatants and see if you can set up a larger perimeter like that. Give them like 2 days or a day's worth of rations and have them out there with walkie-talkies to radio back.
Give them the The old quick train up.
The crash course of perimeters.
The montage.
If they're on walkie-talkies, just a whistle on the walkie-talkie or a squelch rather than telling us
Words.
what's going on.
Yeah. Like 3 quick
Cavemen.
kind of things, right?
Yeah. And if we're using walkie-talkies, then if you start with a certain word, whatever you say afterwards is bullshit. If you start with another word, then everything afterwards is kosher.
A little bit like in Wrath of Khan when they use the code and they're like, according to Starfleet, like take it by the books. And it's
Yeah, exactly
okay.
right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
This
and
is
if
feeling
they're
like
all-
Kobayashi Maru at the moment, to be honest.
All right, you say rooster to coffee cup. That means it's BS.
Roasted the coffee cup. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So what? I know we've talked through a couple of ideas, but what are you guys actually up to?
I do want to make the trip to the police station so we could see if we can get those spikes.
Yeah. So there's actually a couple, right? So there's down here there's the Sussex County Sheriff Office, and then up here there's the Georgetown Police Department, right? And the police department is actually just on the edge of like known territory here, right? Or what they'd consider to be kind of like secure. So you can head there, and then again, almost a complete other end of the town. There's the county sheriff or whatever that was that I brought up. I'll check again. But there's another office that you could go and look at.
All right. Anyone want to come with me to help search?
Yeah, I'm not much of a combatant. So I'll go with you. So I switched a ball, but maybe their other retired cop should go to the other station because he's going to know what he's looking for.
So this is actually his old office, right? So they can introduce you to that guy, right? And he can kind of take if you want to go together, if you want to split party, however you want to do it. But he would be willing to. He still has keys to this building.
Oh,
Perfect.
show us the way.
All right, so just 1 second. I'm just creating that character. Man, I got to say it again. Like what you've done with this is just fucking awesome. So his name is Tobias, right? And so Toby to his buddies, right? So he's introduced you, Toby Mayer. I'm just going to put him on the screen momentarily so you'll be able to see him. But he kind of like Steve sends out for him, right? And Toby's probably been one of the guys that was part of the leadership. So as you guys are making your plan, Toby would be only too happy to walk you over there and show you whatever you need to know. He can't get you into, or he doesn't have anything to do with the police department, but he did with the sheriff's office in the other end of town. Yes.
You're up, Luther.
Oh, show us the way, Toby.
So you want to head down to that second one first, right? Oh,
If
like
that's the one.
Yeah,
That's the one he's familiar with.
All right, so so again, are you all heading down there together, or what is the breakup? What's the group doing?
Well, probably not in any immediate danger, so he could probably go by himself with Tobias.
Is it right? Is it right on the border on the south? Because if it is, Farmer Badby's got heebie-jeebies about being on the south. Go there if that's the case.
Someone should else come with us.
You know what? I'll switch to ball for the rest of this, and I'll go if he wants.
Perfect. I was actually just about to suggest that simply because Ball seems like let's just assume that Emmy's still back at town, right? And she's just kind of like coordinating with people and kind of like doing that side of things. All right.
And she's also shit fucking Steve this entire time for being the big puffed out chest guy he was our first night, now being a whiny little bitch like his son.
Oh, I like it. Oh, you're getting a little bit cantankerous with poor Steve. All right, Steve's just, I mean, he's willing to take it at this point simply because he feels so beaten down, right? So, all right, so Toby's heading over there. Luther and anyone else, head over there with Toby. back at town. All right, so Trojan and Battersby, put yourselves wherever you are, whether or not you're with that group or if you're still back at town, whatever you guys want to do. And then, all right, beautiful. So, Luther, can you make a scavenging check? Can you make it a group check?
Sure.
So is that group check for scavenging?
Yep. And
Okay,
we'll
taking
add
So
Tobias
I also
to that.
check group check.
Correct. Anybody else that's taking part checks group check.
Let me know when ready.
Add a +1 C mod when it comes up. I think we're ready. Oh, you did it. You did it?
Oh.
But hey, Matt,
Oh.
why does it keep defaulting to someone else? Is it because they have higher skills? Because right now it's expecting you to do it.
Yeah, I see 2 group checks. One that had nobody, and now you're right, it's got Battersby on it.
Weird.
Yeah, so it should be the highest person that makes the roll. So I think it says that further down.
Okay.
But
All right, well, someone hit that group. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right,
I
so
got nothing.
yeah, it was a success, right?
They can't do that because we made it.
Ah,
Wait, say that again.
It's got a yellow background turned, so we made that roll. They can't see it.
Oh, geez. Okay, all right. So
off to Twitch.
oh yeah, hold on. So let me bring it on this screen. You
Oh,
had
my
a
Twitch didn't load.
you had a success on both of those, either way. So you find 4 of those. Tobias knows exactly what you're looking for, and these haven't been high-value treats, right? No one's broken in and looked for them. So the county sheriff's office has 4 of those extending tire braking things that you were talking about.
Yeah, tire spikes.
Tire spike. Thank you. Thank you. I'll try and use English the next time I'm talking.
I'll have to remember that phrase for another time. That was good.
Hey, I'm English. I get to use it legitimately and honestly. All right. So you found 4 of those tire spikes. Is there anything else that you were looking for in this in the police office? And bear in mind, the obvious stuff has been taken, right? So there's no weaponry in here. There's, you might be able to find a baton if you're looking for one, or handcuffs or walkie-talkies.
What about smoke grenades or tear gas?
Flashbang?
Maybe some flashbangs. Maybe something anti riot control or stuff like that.
Taser?
I imagine that could be gone, but hey, if there's tasers,
so Tobias kind of like he seems a little bit dismissive, but he says, well, if they were going to be anywhere, they'd have been kept. I mean, he reminds you this is a very, very small, sleepy town, right? And so they didn't have a lot of cause for flashbangs. But he shrugs and says, well, if there was anything, they'll be in the captain's safe back in his room. So he starts heading back to the captain's office in the back room. So make another group's scavenging check.
Because I'm thinking while they're loading up, if there's anybody sitting outside at the entrance, if we want to risk some takedowns, they're going to have to be quiet takedowns.
In what way?
Well, like, let's say there's someone sitting at the entrance or 2 of the bandits sitting out there while they're loading up supplies. The ambush point coming up, we're kind of not going to want to just fire off a gun at them while they're in the middle of loading up supplies.
This is true. So, hey, to that point, is anybody outside? Man, great point. Is anybody outside right now keeping watch? Battersby, where are you? Because you seem to be on a farm. What are you up to?
I feel like he said he was going to be outside because he was weary about down there.
Yeah, but it's a long way outside over there, right? So
Right.
I'm guessing you're keeping watch on the road, right?
Correct. But I was trying to move myself away from the characters a bit so I could see myself. But yeah, I'll happily come in and help rifle stuff, but I don't like being at the safe.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I'll be able to look at.
All right, so let's have another for anyone that's in the room. And Battersby, you can't take part in that one, obviously. So Luther, Tobias, Ball, and John or Trojan. Like, let's make that group check for scavenging to see if you can find any flashbangs.
Battersby suggests that wherever the captain's house is, he may have his own personal stash of stuff.
That's a great suggestion. There are 2 flashbang grenades, right? So, and there's, he has a key for the captain's office at this point, right? Or for the captain's safe. So, you can, there's a couple of bullets in there, and there's what looks like a heavy pistol. But there are 2 flashbangs in the weapons case in the captain's office that no one had taken previously.
All right, who needs the gun?
Anyone?
Sorry, my wife asked me a question. What was it?
There's a heavy pistol if anyone wants it.
You know what? I can carry one more thing. I might as well take it.
All right, cool.
Well, without being encumbered.
Is that? And do you mean like Emmy can or ball can?
Ball's the one down here.
Perfect. Just double checking.
Yep. Won't say no to more weapons, especially for the people that can't use them.
At some point, these things are going to break, or you're not going to have them, or whatever. You're going to need more people. So, right, there were 3 magazines in there, so you have 18 rounds as well. Sorry, 2 magazines, 18 rounds.
9-round revolvers, nice.
No, heavy pistol.
It's a big cylinder.
Yeah.
Actually, I've only got a light pistol. If I could swap that out for a heavy. If
Yeah, you can take it. I'll trade you. You can take the heavy. I'll take the light one from you.
Yeah, who gave you that Derringer? Throw that thing away. That's a toy.
So, I can't carry anymore, so I'll just swap my light for a heavy, Tony.
Yeah, perfect. So do it yourself in your character sheet. Same thing with you, Emmy.
The heavy, so swap light. How much ammo did you have?
Heavy pistol. And there were 18, 18 bullets.
Yep.
For the heavy, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and I had 24 for my light pistol, if I give the light pistol to you.
Got it.
Cool.
All right, perfect. So, so there's not really much in here, right? So you've got the tire spikes, you found some ammo, and you've got the you also see a pair of, if anybody wants it, there's a pair of binoculars that's on the captain's, like the window by his, or in his office. Does anyone want to take those?
Yeah, but that means I've got to get rid of the first aid kit on something. Or
what does
actually,
encumbrance do again?
Say again?
Was it resistance damage?
So over time, right? So you'd actually, it's measured in the course of days, right? So or hours as you're moving around. So if you have like 1 extra encumbrance, it's really not going to slow you down unless you start running.
I'll take the binoculars and I'll drop them off when we go back to the other office.
All right, perfect. You've got them. All right, so not much left here, right? I don't know if someone actually genuinely suggested going to the captain's house. Toby tells you that the captain's house is this way. It's like not inside, what they consider to be like kind of the safe zone, but it's not like you're in danger if you go over there, right? But that's where it is. And it's not that far actually from the other police station if you guys are still planning on checking that out. And it's about, just timekeeping, it's about 2:00 in the afternoon.
All right.
Well, game if your game.
Yeah.
Battersby will be more vigilant if we're going out of the mark zone.
So are you guys heading to the police station or to the captain's house, or where are you heading to?
Well, probably drop off whatever extra stuff we need first, and then heading to, I assume, the captain's place, especially if someone's got keys for him.
Yeah. Toby doesn't have keys to his house. He just had the keys for the office, for like the safe and stuff that were in the office.
We got keys, and I pump my shotgun.
You beat me to it. I was gonna flex my baseball muscles and say, "Don't worry, I got a key."
Modern day key, the sole of my shoe. Yeah. So excuse me, it really would, it's not out of the realm of possibility that you guys head over this way, drop anything you want off, and then Toby leads you over to the captain's house. So you guys, if you can see where Toby is over here, excuse me, and this is where I come back to that community sheet, right? So if you guys have got anything that you want to drop off, excuse me, I'll record them in here and you can just delete them out of your inventory to clear up space. So is there anything that, and again, I've already written some stuff down like the tire spikes, but is there anything that you'd want to drop off?
Yeah, I'll drop off the binoculars, and venturing will probably find another weapon. I'll drop off that light pistol and ammo.
Right.
And actually, you know what? I'll drop off the sawed-off shotgun too, and I'll pick it back up later if we don't find anything else.
All right. And then what was the other thing you were dropping off? Was that a light pistol? I know you dropped off the binoculars, but the sawed-off shotgun, what else?
Yep.
Is that it?
The shotgun, the pistol, and binoculars.
It was the pistol. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll drop off my hatchet as well. Means I can carry something without being too overloaded.
Okay. All right, beautiful. Anything else anyone's dropping off?
Good for now.
All right, good. All right, so you head over to the captain's house. It's pretty grim, right? I mean, it's not locked, right? Somebody's been in here before, right? But it's like a lot of houses that you've been into since this all happened. It's just like a grim reminder of someone's house. It's just kind of like photos of life that was, and like random smells and weirdness, and like dirty underwear that got left on the floor because people weren't expecting to die, right? And so it's a little bit weird and a little bit miserable. What are you guys looking for in here?
Well, I guess we're not tossing the house like anything special unless we get to a bedroom or an office. So I guess I'm looking for an office or potentially the bedroom.
Or cabinet.
Yeah, so there's an office on the ground floor, and the office has a gun cabinet, and the gun cabinet's been forced open, right? So whatever was in there previously is not in there anymore. There's really nothing of use in the office downstairs. Same kind of thing upstairs in the bedroom, right? So you might be able to find some items of personal effect or, something of interest. There's nothing of any real value, and there's no weapons that you can find.
Has it got a basement?
Can we ask? Yeah.
Yeah, there is a basement.
Can we ask Tobias if he was a guy that kept a safe?
The captain? Tobias doesn't know. He says like he was a smart guy, he was a shrewd guy, but we never talked about stuff that he might keep around the house like that. Is that what you guys are looking for?
Let's check the
Yeah,
basement.
more or less probably.
Yeah,
But yeah, the basement probably good one.
So make a scavenging or a perception check.
That is going to probably be out of the.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, excuse me. But you do find a safe in the basement, right? And it's just you're kind of like, as you guys are kind of like looking around, it's hidden behind a kind of a like a fake door, like it's like almost like an air conditioning unit, like a vent, right? And behind the vent is a safe.
Okay.
It's locked.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Oh, that don't help good.
Is it like one of those floor safes? Is it like one of those? I don't know, like a
It's
heavy
actually built
AF.
into the
It's
wall.
not definitely not a lockbox.
No,
Built
it's
into
not
the
a
wall.
lockbox, right? It's not portable. It's built into the wall. So it's kind of an old-fashioned one, right? It's got like a keypad on it, and it's got a handle latch turn, right? So you'd be able to drill it off or get through to it, but it would take a fair amount of work from looking at it. It's pretty sturdy.
Pesky when you need.
Maybe we should check the other cop shop before we mess with this safe.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
several hours of work.
Yeah. You might be able to hack it out of the floor at best, but yeah, you're right. Let's go to the station first.
You come back with a couple of like wood axes, you'd definitely be able to get it out of there. But again, you don't even know if there's anything in there at this point. Just could be, Could be.
Could
Who
be
knows what we
insurance
miss.
papers.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Tobias is happy enough to head over, but again, like he's got nothing against it, right? And this building is like the other one, right? People have been in here, right? So but he doesn't have any particular insight because he was a local sheriff, and this was the police department, right? So he, never the twain shall meet. So he knows his way around in here, but he can't offer any particular insight.
It starts looking.
Anything in particular should be looking for, Luther?
We want more tire spikes or smoke grenades.
Is that what you're looking for?
That or flashbangs or tasers. I'm assuming if there's an armory, someone's probably busted it open by now. Actually, is there any... Yeah, is there an armory and maybe some riot gear too?
So there is an armory, right? But again, this is a fairly small town, right? So it's just one locked room, right? So let's have a let's make a scavenging check. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
There's no tactical gear in here. There's nothing of any use in that way, right? And all the weaponry from the armory has been taken. There's no grenades. There's nothing but some empty like magazines, right? Things that might be useful for upkeep of weapons, but nothing for good for combat.
So we're in a small town, I'd say let's go check evidence, but yeah, it's not worth it. That'd take forever anyways. All right, I guess this one was a bust.
It's all right. We got what, 4 tire spikes? Is that right?
Yeah.
I call that a win.
Actually, make another scavenging check before we head back. They're supposed to be specific, right? So if you call something out that you're looking for, then you can make a roll for it and see if you can find it, right? So if you were looking for, we didn't check for tire spikes. Let's see if they had any in there.
All right.
They did. There were another 2 tire spikes. Again, fresh in their boxes, right? Like nobody was really looking for this shit after the apocalypse,
Exactly. Nice.
That's a fair number, getting both lanes.
Yep.
No, one of them's good for 2 lanes.
I didn't look them up enough online, so I'm is that fair? Are they like, will you take out both lanes with one of these?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Out of all the cop videos I've seen, I'm pretty sure they go across 2 lanes.
Oh, beautiful.
They kind of like shoot out too. Some of them do.
Yeah, they got like a scissor action where you just chuck them across.
Or sesame timbers. All right, beautiful. All right, so you have 6 of these things, right? So you would be able to take out a fair amount of the right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So you'd be able to create some kind of funnel depending on what you want to do. So again, like it's by the time you've gone and examined the captain's house, this first police station, the second police station, it's getting towards dark. So from when you were here previously, like the town gets together around the church thing around evening falls, like 5-6 o'clock is when they start handing out food. So it's getting towards that time now. What do you guys want to do?
Should we head that way, or do we have time to maybe scope out the spot where we want to set up an ambush?
You can do whatever you want. I didn't mean that the way it sounded. Like, I mean, like entirely up to you. Like, I know it sounded like really spiky, but like whatever makes sense to you guys. Want to grab dinner? Want to wait? Like whatever you want to do.
I'm just worried about time because maybe they might come a day early.
Well, why don't we go scope it out and then we can actually hard set it up tomorrow.
All right, sounds.
In case there's more supplies we want to get up.
Use what daylight we got.
All right, beautiful. So, what are you planning on doing in that, like in that area, like in fact, let me find a bigger, let me close in on that so you can get a better sense of it. All right, so I don't know if you guys can see this on Twitch. But this is that area. This is that. Oh man, I'm still trying to ping like I'm on Roll20. So this is that. This is the apartment building. This is the burned out McDonald's, right? And if you remember, this is where they kept you guys initially, right? So they kept you here. They brought Steve in to talk to you. This is the thing that was burned down, right? So
Right.
this is the area where they come in, and like I say, this is kind of the best turnoff into town up here, or like this is where they've been coming from. Excuse me. So walk me through what you guys are thinking.
So how many tire specs we got at this point? We got like 6 of them.
Yeah.
And they ride motorcycles?
Yeah, that's
In
what
the
they came
van.
in last time, right? But they were.
What-
Sorry, go on.
I bet you if they run over tire spikes that they will just like wreck.
Yeah.
On the motorcycles, yeah.
Can I use some cop knowledge to know if that's what happens or not?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I nor
I
do
assume
I.
so.
Say that again.
I assume so. Like I had a motorcycle license at one point.
Yeah, I
can't
imagine if they run
having a
over,
tire blow out.
yeah, if their tires blow out, I imagine they'll just go sliding.
Meat crayon is the way I like to think of that. So yeah, they'll become a very unattractive meat crayon very quickly.
So do we want to catch them with it while they're moving fast, or do we want to just stop them and then shoot them?
Well, if they're after the supplies, I mean, we know that. I think the initial idea is just to get them in, and then try to get a count of how many are there besides whoever's out in the perimeter, and then try to catch them on the way out.
Because I imagine if they're heading out, they probably wouldn't be moving too fast, so it may just stop them and not hurt them.
For the motorcycles, yeah. Well, then we're running the conundrum of instead of catching them right here in town, we have to run the gambit of are they going to go this way? Are they going to go this way? And then having multiple ambush points.
Well, we do know, and looking at that map, that they do travel that north street, and we don't know if they will just change it up for whatever reason, come from the north for some reason, we don't know. But
Right.
it looks like the north road or street is the guarantee path that they will take, or a more guaranteed path.
Right.
And we can certainly set it up that way.
Let me go back to Roll20. Hopefully,
there you go.
Yeah, there you go. So that's a little bit closer, so you guys can kind of plan a little bit easier now. Let me take that ugly grid off.
All right. I think I'm going to break the rule. I'm going to draw so I can remember how to delete it afterwards. So I don't know if you want to get some people hiding in the cars. If you're gonna try to stop them up here, whoops, then get someone hiding in the cars here, and then potentially someone over here to throw a trap across. But even then, unless you're talking about further up here by Domino's.
Well, they come from the south, right?
Yeah, they come from the south, but so far they've always taken off north.
Oh, they come from the south and then they move north? Really?
Yeah, they've been coming in this way, is what he said.
Huh.
Because you heard them go by when they torched the McDonald's, or when they torched the this thing.
Why would they leave in a different direction?
So
yeah, that was my question before.
Isn't that's puzzling?
Well, so again, just to be clear, excuse me, it was one bike, right? So that's what you heard, and backed up by the people at the mall, right? So it wasn't the whole group that went north, right?
Okay.
It was just a single bike, as far as you're aware.
And now whenever they come for the supplies, they come from the south, they load up and then they leave south?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, how do you erase this again? Do I left click on it? Oh, I see it. Never mind, I can click on it and just delete. Well, if they're going to go down south, then.
Yeah.
Well, then, if that's the case, then we
So
can have something here and throw it across. Then someone hiding in this house and throw it across.
what I'm thinking, if I can I draw here? Let me see here.
Yeah, hit that
So
paintbrush
they
and then
come
you can
in
freehand it.
from here, possibly, but we don't know that. But they will take the North Street. They'll load up. They have the confidence, so now they think they've gotten away with it. Then as they're leaving, boom, that's where we get them.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking initially.
Yeah, and that way,
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We could set up in here on both sides. Then we get the spike across there, and then we just completely swarm in from here. So I get my guy out of the way. Swarm in from this house, swarm in from there. Got people hiding in the parking lot here. And boom, boom, tough acting, acting.
Yep, there you go.
All right, so this is towards the end of day one, right? So again, like, tonight and then 2 more nights until they turn up. So during the course of the day, supplies have been getting kind of like pulled over to this area that we'd talked about. I'm not sure if I'm pinging on the right screen, but the area where you've been drawing, supplies have been getting taken over there by Steve's people. Excuse me. So you guys are kind of discussing what an ambush would look like. Steve, comes over to discuss with you like through the course of the day. So, as the day kind of turns into the evening, he comes over to see if you're going to be joining them for dinner. But he asks you to walk him through the plan. So, what are you guys going to tell him?
Does he need to know? now I'm wondering how is his approach?
I if you want to make an initiative, a perception check and see, if you're able to read him or kind of like what kind of take you get on him. But
Yeah.
he's legitimate.
Ooh.
He's got a good reason for asking. Like, I mean, he's
Real quick though.
Yeah.
Because we met Luther on the road. Luther doesn't have any sense of a feeling of him. He hasn't done a gut check for him.
For gut check for who? For Steve?
Oh, I'm gut checking him right now.
Do it.
Holy crap. Please tell me this isn't going to turn on to the rocks again. We're going to have fantastic rolls and then combat. We're going to shoot each other.
I hope so. So obviously we're gonna keep that because that was a moment of high insight there, right? So we're not gonna take that away, but it should have been a gut check, right? But so this was a perfect role in the sense that Steve's just a big goof, right? I mean, like he's not. You're not getting a sense. He's asking because he's nervous, right? I mean, he's trying to get a sense of comfort from you guys rather than like sneaking in or anything along those lines. He's nervous. He's a goof.
All right, I'll fill him in, but I'll say, hey, let's just keep it between us, right?
Yeah, he's got no problem. He's trying to look out for the town, and you do get a sense of his like with that wild success. You do get a sense like he does have good intentions, right? He has tried to lead these people. He's tried to be big man on campus for the longest time, and now it's kind of come back where there's a real threat, and he hasn't got a freaking clue what to do. So you clue him in, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, excuse me. He kind of like nods like appreciative, or not appreciatively, like he nods. He kind of understands what you're getting at, but like this all feels a bit beyond him, right? Like even though he was a lawyer and he tries to present like he's very worldly, he was just doing shitty small town contract work, like like farms and stuff. Like he really didn't. He's not a lawyer in the traditional sense or the scary sense, right? So he seems to be taking comfort in your plan. But like he is a little bit worried. Like he says to you at one point, like it feels like you're going like a full out attack on these guys. Is that right?
You have a better idea?
No, he doesn't. But he says, like, what if this goes wrong? Like, what if they don't come in the direction you think they're going to come in? What do we do?
Well, we'll just have to tell them that's where the supplies are.
So Steve feels that he's not arguing with your approach, by the way, but he does feel that they're going to come in from. Let me bring it up in Roll20. So if shit, hold on. There we go. So on this map, let me turn that grid off. There we go. So as you guys have finished discussing your plans, Steve's kind of bringing you back to get dinner over at the kind of the church, right, the central area. So he says to you, "Hey, this is where they've always turned up. They've always come in around this time in the evening. They come in with it's a little bit after dark, but usually while we're gathered here, right?" Which he says, kind of adds this sense that he thinks that they're watching or listening on the radios, because whenever they hit, everyone's gathered together in one place, and it's maximum shock and awe. So he says, hey, so they've told us they're going to come back in a couple of nights. Steve had just assumed that they were going to come back and hit them here, right? That they would come back around the same time. So he says to you, if they do come back here, what is your plan? They're going to expect the supplies to be here. Are you going to lead them over to the apartment building? What are you going to do?
Well, I mean, it would kind of confirm the fact that they know something is up, or you guys are just so routine in your thing that you're just so predictable. I mean, there's really no other choice then. If they're just going to meet you up here, then, well, you have to lead them over here. And then obviously the quickest way out is going to be just to book it out this door.
Wait, can you ping that screen again? I didn't see it.
Which, I mean, if we were leading them over here, because if they're going to meet over here like they had been, I mean, the only thing to do is to tell them it's over there, and then they'll see that this is the exit, quickest way to the road that they came in on. Just book it on out, I suppose. That's the best thing I got there to try to put them where we want them.
How about we give him a car? We all meet over at the apartments, and then we monitor this road as they're coming up, if they're coming up this way, and then he can book it down these roads, lead them over to here, go past the road, then we throw out the tire spikes ready for them to go over.
So
essentially get them to chase him.
I feel like they're going to make their own way. I don't think there's going to be any leading them.
That's a pretty good idea. So say if they do come up the middle and they want us to sort of escort them over to the apartments, well, we do so, but then we just park the vehicle, like he says, in that road area, so the exit is through the left on that north street.
Oh, you want to block the streets?
If they come through the middle, like he's suggesting, like if they don't just head straight directly to the apartments, like they come through the middle of the town, and they want us to say, "Hey, where's the supplies?" and they want us to go with them. Then,
but if they're monitoring the radio, can't we have him there in a truck? We can put a few boxes in the truck and say only 2 left to go, and then he can say, "Shit, they're here," and we can say, "Book it over to the apartment block," and he can drive full night.
I don't know if I'm following, really.
As long as we get them to exit North Street, that's the key. We have to make sure. So we have to set up barricades or whatever we have to do on the other streets just to make sure that that's their exit.
Well, because if we're going to test out the radio theory, how do you guys ring the dinner bell? Does everyone just come over at the same time every day and just get in?
Yeah,
or are you actually just announcing it?
It's not even an announcement, right? It's just as the sun starts to go down, everyone starts to gather at the village green.
Well, I'm thinking that night you have dinner early and don't do that.
Might not be a bad idea.
So everyone has a ration that night and stays home.
Yeah, so Steve likes that idea, right? Kind of like minimize potential conflicts, right? So you're suggesting that instead of everyone being on the green as normal, we give everyone a sack lunch and tell them to stay home and try and spring some kind of ambush on them by dragging them over to or convincing them to get over to Dunbar Apartments by misleading them on the radio. This is Steve saying this back to you. Is that the plan?
Yeah, I would say so. And then anybody who's willing to fight or shoot, we can get. If we're banking on them booking it south like they had been, we'll put the majority of the firefight down this way so that if they do draw it easier. So if they take their path down, that we get whatever we here, and then we have more people here on the sides to take them out. But we'll put a couple up here in case they decide to go north or somebody panics and goes north.
If we got the manpower for that.
Yeah, for whatever manpower is willing and can actually shoot.
So on that subject, so Steve says that there's probably, maybe 10 to 15 men in town or people in town that he trusts with a gun, right? It's, everyone's well intentioned, but there's a bunch of people here that have never fired a firearm. There's a bunch of, women and children here that have never had any kind of experience with this before. So Steve feels that there's, maybe 10 to 15 people at the outside that would be able to help with this. One of which you've already met, which is Toby the cop.
Right.
People aren't going to shit themselves and run in the other direction, in other words.
Yeah, well, need them that night then.
Yeah, so Steve says that he'll have a word with them and he'll try and get everyone ready. But, again, there's no promises on this, right? He's going to have to go and visit them all and try and see what he can do. And you're all having this conversation over dinner, by the way, as you're kind of planning for the next day.
Num, num, num.
Num, 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 num. Steve says that there's a couple of buildings over in the Dunbarton apartments, or rather a couple of apartments over there, which is where you stayed the last time that you were here, right? But he says if you guys want to stay over there, otherwise there's a bunch of houses that are essentially outside of the safe zone. He says if you want to go and hole up in one of those or take one of them your own, like you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
I'll pick out a little small, inconspicuous house.
We don't know what. In case they come over.
Probably should have some people, like you said, keep a watch over here in case we got some of them looking in. I think Ball doesn't have a problem sleeping over here in one of these apartments.
Can we tell Steve, bigwig that he is, if they don't want to, if some of them don't want to fight and don't know the right end of a gun to use, can they be on watch? And if maybe we give them some sort of bell or something and then station them around the other side. So if these guys come in from some other direction, we at least know about it.
Yeah, so that won't be a problem, right? So they, excuse me, everyone's on edge, and there's enough people that are willing to take part for you to be able to essentially have the whole of this area mapped out, or like guards on every corner. Is this overnight? Are you saying, by the way? Yeah, no problem. Steve can set that up. There'll be enough people that are willing to take part. It feels like it's a bit of almost like a Magnificent 7 moment, right, where people are starting to look at you guys like, because you're giving orders and you're trying to get everyone set up. So they're starting to look at you guys like you're not exactly. You have more of a you're kind of admiring glance they're wandering around.
Nice.
It's always nice to feel wanted. So you can set that up so that overnight there's a constant watch. Anything else you guys want to do?
Get rid of the because they all die, don't they?
Well, people are only thinking that about you, I think. The rest of these guys have they're in a different movie, but people are looking at the grumpy.
I'll be Pale Rider. I'll be the man with no name.
Yeah, exactly. You know those movies where the heroes all die? Let's fucking hope with this guy over here, right? So, all right. Morning. You guys get up. I'm guessing it's going to be more of the same, right? You guys are going to be pulling stuff together. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually putting stuff in action.
Perfecting, I suppose.
Yeah. So, breakfast and dinner every day to people, right? So there's breakfast, and Steve's still kind of talking to you about plans for the day. So you guys are in there. What do you plan on the remainder of the morning?
Sorry.
How about sizing up the tempo that might be helping us with the gun action? Like, do they
Oh yeah.
the chops or not? Can I give them the old?
So Steve starts walking you around and introducing you to some people, right? And he's trying to get some help, etc., etc. So it's a little bit. You aren't impressed. Like, I mean, none of these guys you are combat ready, right? But like, as you look at all these guys, like, yeah, we're really in trouble here, right? I mean, these people are willing and they're ready to try and help, but they don't have a clue which way up is, from down. They're kind of scared and looking for some help here, right, or for some guidance. So they're not really a great deal of help at the moment.
Not that 10 or 15 he thought could handle a gun.
They're there, right? But as you look at them, I don't know that you really get a good sense that these guys are going to be the army in waiting that you might need.
Is it possible? I had a thought.
Yeah.
We may have to alter this plan just like we altered the mall idea to the farmhouse. So throw this out there. What if, instead of letting them load up the vans, what if, call me crazy, we load up some vehicles for them, but Battersby, with his mechanic skills, tampers with them to such a degree that they could have trouble at different points down the road, and we can maybe get a sense of direction for where they're going and then hit them at their own base.
But won't the first car break down and then all of them will hang around until they can fix it?
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't think.
And if they can't, they just got to keep going.
You think that we're just gonna load up vehicles for them out of the kindness of our hearts? I'd be smelling a trap if I was them.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like I said, call me crazy.
How about we fortify the choke point where people are so that they can't get shot very easily, and that way.
Well, I don't want to make anything obvious.
Hey. Say again.
I said we don't want to make it too obvious, though. Well, although they did just burn down the one building. You said it. Wait, you said it was this building, though.
McDonald's over here. I don't know why it's not
The McDonald's itself.
Yep.
Okay.
They weren't loving it.
Nice. All right, so as you guys are kind of getting the day together, everyone make a perception check.
Here come the bad rolls. Woo!
Jeez Louise. All right, so Luther and Emmy, it takes you a second for you to be able to place it, but you realize that you can hear bike noises, right? So there's bikes that seem to be approaching the town, right? So you're the first ones to hear it, but it's by seconds, right? So as you two kind of like look around and start to realize what's going on, other people start to hear it as well. So there's you guys are in the church or in the church area, and people start to panic, right? There's probably 70, 75 people that are, let me spread these out so you can see this a little bit better. There's probably 70, 75 people that are in this church area, right? And people are just kind of shitting themselves, right? So Steve is flapping his arms around and saying to people, don't panic, but you can hear the panic in his voice. What are you guys going to do?
Does it have a bell?
Say it again.
Does it have a bell tower?
It doesn't, not in the way that you're thinking, right? It's one of those kind of more modern churches. There's nowhere for you to climb up there, no.
Okay. Battlefield will look for the nearest high point.
So there is a house just across the street from the church. You could probably get over there. Make an athletics check. You could get over there before anyone appears. Like, it's still far enough away, I think.
Any CMOD?
No. Oh, yep, you're able
Not
to get
yet.
over to the other side and get onto the roof before anything happens.
Steve
So,
Austin.
say that again, mate.
Just Steve Austin over there.
Beautiful. What do you what are the rest of you doing before anything else happens? While you have a moment to yourselves.
Everybody act as if you would. We don't have the supplies ready, so they're not here for that. So
Oh, let's see. Where did you say the sound was coming from? Down here in the south?
Yeah, it's right now. It's kind of over this way, right? So, it could be heading towards the area you think they're coming in. It could be heading south, right? At the moment, you're not entirely sure. You can just hear the bikes.
Okay, it's over at the highway.
Yep.
All right,
It is over on the west, though.
on the west side. Well, if I'm Emmy, which I'm starting to regret doing that this morning, I'm probably walking outside at the very least to see what I can see. Work my way towards the sound a little bit. Not straying too far from the church.
Beautiful. So, as you guys are starting to react to this, coming along this way, right? So you start to kind of circle in or triangulate in on where the noise is coming from, and it's coming from down here and kind of approaching, right? So, excuse me, there are 5 bikes and there are 2 black vans following along behind the bikes, right? But the lead biker is carrying a large white flag, right? So these 5 bikes and these 2 trucks are coming towards you at the moment. They're moving fairly slow, right? So there's no signs of any aggression. There's no signs of any violence or anything along those lines. Excuse me. So parade speed. Yeah, kind of, right? So much more like, we're not a threat kind of speed, right? So as the bikes are coming up here, let me just bring these up to the right layer. So you can see these bikers again. Like, there's 3 of them ahead of the pack. There's the other 2 bikes seem to be almost like guarding the transit vans, right? So they all pull up outside of the church, right? And people are standing around watching. There's no signs of violence. So people aren't panicked at the moment, but this is obviously a change of pace, right? Them turning up in the middle of the day and this white flag. So the lead biker, this guy here, he pulls off his helmet and he goes over to this old lady that's standing there, and almost comically he says to her, "Take me to your leader." That's where we're leaving it for the evening.
Man, I thought you were going to leave it right at the motorcycle sound too, because that would have been like, what is going to happen?
Yeah, well, I thought about dumping it there. I did think about it, but I wanted to bring these guys into town and set it up for next time, right? So again, like, they're in town. There's 2 transits, 5 bikes, and this guy's almost a dandy in the way he says to this old lady, "Take me to your leader."
I knew this was going to happen.
Well, that's it. Thank you all, as always. Thank you very much for playing. I fucking love playing with you guys. It's so much fun. Next week, Matt, presumably we're going back to Alcatraz. Is that fair?
Yep.
Beautiful. All right. Any thoughts from anyone before we drop?
So much for working the grapple. No, sorry.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Yeah, I actually thought we were going to get to combat this evening. So I love how you guys kind of pull me down rabbit holes, which aren't very combative at the moment, right? So we will be trying out grappling and subduing next time, more than likely.
Okay. Sure.
Unless we talk our way out of it.
That wouldn't surprise me either, the way that you guys play, which again is a compliment.
Verbal grappling.
Beautiful. Well, guys, thank you all again. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a good night, and I shall speak to you all soon.
All right, good game.
Good game. Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Ciao.